Welcome to True Crime Pulse, the podcast where we delve into chilling stories of love, betrayal, and murder. In today's episode, we travel to the quiet town of La Mesa, Texas, a community where everyone knows everyone and life moves slower. However, beneath its serene surface, La Mesa harbored secrets that would eventually unravel, leading to a shocking crime that left the town reeling. It was early May 2022 when La Mesa's idyllic calm was shattered. What began as whispers of an affair evolved into a dark tale of passion, deception, and desperation. At the center of it all was Marlene Hayes, a 31-year-old secretary at the La Mesa Sheriff's Office. Marlene was known for her quick wit, meticulous organizational skills, and warm personality, which endeared her to everyone she met. Born and raised in La Mesa, Marlene epitomized the small-town American dream. She graduated from La Mesa High School in 2009 and earned a certificate in office administration from Midland College. In 2017, she married her high school sweetheart, Travis Hayes. Their life together seemed picture-perfect, a story of young love blossoming into a stable marriage. Marlene was active in her church, where she volunteered regularly, and she had a passion for baking, often surprising her coworkers with homemade treats. In early 2021, Marlene joined the La Mesa Sheriff's Office, taking on the demanding role of secretary. It was here she met Sheriff Willie Carlin, a 45-year-old charismatic and respected leader. Willie was a seasoned law enforcement officer whose charm and ability to connect with people had earned him multiple re-elections. At first, their relationship was purely professional, with Willie serving as a mentor to Marlene. However, as they spent more time together, their conversations grew increasingly personal. Marlene confided in Willie about the struggles in her marriage, sharing how Travis had grown distant and uninterested in starting a family. Willie, in turn, opened up about his troubled relationships, admitting to being a womanizer. By mid-2021, their bond had deepened, and one late-night work session turned into something more. Their relationship became physical, sparking an affair that forever changed their lives. The affair was a whirlwind of excitement and guilt. Both Marlene and Willie knew their actions were wrong, but they rationalized it as a much-needed escape from their personal problems. They went to great lengths to keep their relationship a secret, meeting in out-of-town motels and using burner phones to communicate. Marlene even adjusted her work schedule to avoid drawing suspicion. In February 2022, Marlene's life took a dramatic turn when she discovered she was pregnant. The news left her conflicted. On one hand, she was thrilled at the prospect of becoming a mother, a dream she had long cherished. On the other hand, she was overwhelmed with fear and uncertainty, unsure whether the baby's father was Travis or Willie. The pregnancy became a heavy burden. Marlene initially tried to hide it, wearing loose clothing and steering conversations away from her future. When she finally told Willie, his reaction was far from supportive. Panic-stricken, he urged her to keep the baby's paternity a secret. The pressure mounted, and Marlene was caught in a web of lies and fear. As the weeks passed, Marlene's behavior grew increasingly erratic. Friends and colleagues noticed her fluctuating moods. She alternated between moments of joy about the baby and bouts of deep anxiety. She dropped subtle hints to Travis about wanting a fresh start, but stopped short of revealing the affair. Behind closed doors, she began researching DNA testing options, desperate for clarity about her baby's father. On the morning of May 7, 2022, tragedy struck. Deputy Kevin Morales arrived at the sheriff's office around 8:30 a.m. to prepare for his weekend shift. It was a routine morning. He'd stopped by Stripes for his usual coffee and breakfast taco before unlocking the office. But something felt off. Marlene's car was still parked outside, and her purse and phone lay untouched on her desk. Kevin called out for Marlene, but there was no response. As he walked toward Sheriff Carlin's private office, his unease grew. When he opened the door, the scene before him was chilling. Marlene's lifeless body was slumped on the floor behind the sheriff's desk, blood pooling around her head from a gunshot wound near her temple. Frozen in shock, Kevin backed out of the room and called 911. His voice trembled as he described the scene. "Dispatch, this is Deputy Morales. I need immediate backup at the sheriff's office. It's Marlene. She's been shot." Emergency responders arrived swiftly, and what they discovered next was nothing short of miraculous. Despite Marlene's fatal injury, her baby was still alive. paramedics performed an emergency cesarean section on site, delivering a healthy baby boy. The infant was rushed to the hospital and placed in neonatal care, where doctors marveled at his resilience. As law enforcement cordoned off the scene, news of the tragedy spread rapidly through La Mesa, a town of fewer than 10,000 residents. By lunchtime, local media outlets had picked up the story, and social media buzzed with speculation and rumors. The revelation of Marlene's death, coupled with the survival of her baby, left the community in shock. Friends, family, and colleagues were left grappling with the devastating loss and unanswered questions. In the days that followed, investigators began piecing together the events leading up to Marlene's murder. The web of secrets, betrayals, and mounting tensions revealed a tangled narrative that captivated the town and, eventually, the nation. This was a crime that would haunt La Mesa for years to come, a tragic reminder of how love, betrayal, and desperation can intersect with devastating consequences. Marlene Hayes, a woman who had eagerly awaited the joys of motherhood, was gone, her life cut short in a tragedy that would leave La Mesa, Texas, grappling with grief and unanswered questions. On the morning of May 7, 2022, a grim scene awaited inside Sheriff Willie Carlin's office. A place of law and order turned into a sight of unspeakable horror. Marlene's lifeless body lay crumpled on the floor, a fatal gunshot wound to her temple marking the violent end of her life. The 31-year-old, 9 months pregnant and days away from welcoming her child, had become the centerpiece of a chilling mystery that would shatter the town's quiet existence. Despite the shock and devastation, the first responders recognized a glimmer of hope amidst the horror. They quickly acted to save Marlene's unborn baby, performing an emergency cesarean section on the office floor. It was a desperate act, fueled by determination and instinct. Against all odds, the baby boy was delivered alive, his first cries breaking through the oppressive silence of the room. It was a moment of fragile triumph, a testament to the resilience of life, even in the face of overwhelming despair. The infant was immediately rushed to La Mesa Medical Center, where doctors worked tirelessly to stabilize him. His survival was hailed as nothing short of a miracle, with headlines in the local La Mesa press reporters celebrating the story of hope amid tragedy. Even national media, including Good Morning America, briefly picked up the tale, shining a light on the extraordinary events of that morning. While the town marveled at the baby's survival, investigators turned their attention to the grim circumstances of Marlene's death. The office was cordoned off as a crime scene, and the search for answers began under the meticulous leadership of Sergeant Michelle Ortega. Known for her sharp mind and unyielding dedication, Ortega quickly assessed the chaotic scene. Blood spatter patterns indicated the shot was fired at close range, while the disarray of papers on the sheriff's desk and a shattered coffee mug suggested a struggle. There were no signs of forced entry, leading investigators to suspect that Marlene had known her killer. As the investigation unfolded, Marlene's phone became a critical piece of evidence. It revealed a side of her life that few knew: a clandestine affair with Sheriff Willie Carlin. The explicit text messages uncovered between the two detailed not just their physical relationship, but also the growing tension over her pregnancy. In several exchanges, Marlene had pleaded with Willie to acknowledge the situation and take responsibility, while Willie had urged her to stay silent to protect his reputation. For a man long considered a pillar of the community, this revelation was a shocking blow. Willie's charm and authoritative presence had made him a trusted figure, re-elected multiple times with little contest. But now, his private life painted a picture of deceit, manipulation, and desperation. Marlene's husband, Travis Hayes, was another central figure in the unraveling drama. Known as the reserved and reliable town mechanic, Travis had been Marlene's high school sweetheart. Together, they were seen as the perfect small-town couple. However, cracks in their relationship have become apparent in recent years, with friends noting Travis's increasing emotional distance and reluctance to start a family. When questioned about Marlene's murder, Travis appeared devastated, his grief evident. Yet, when detectives confronted him with the evidence of Marlene's affair, his devastation turned to shock and anger. He denied any knowledge of her infidelity, his sense of betrayal palpable. Despite his heartbreak, his connection to Marlene's strained marriage, and the discovery of potential evidence on his property, such as tools with what appeared to be blood, placed him squarely under scrutiny. The revelations about Sheriff Carlin's role in Marlene's life only deepened the intrigue. Initially dismissive of their relationship as a casual fling, Willie's confidence began to falter when presented with evidence. Text messages, meeting logs, and a paternity test confirmed that Marlene's unborn child was his, a truth he had refused to acknowledge during her life. His attempts to downplay their relationship and deflect responsibility did little to assuage investigators' suspicions. As they pressed him on the events leading up to Marlene's death, cracks in his composure began to show. His responses grew defensive, his once charming demeanor giving way to frustration and desperation. The small town of La Mesa, with its population of fewer than 10,000, was thrown into a storm of rumors and speculation. What had started as a tragic death quickly became a complex tale of betrayal, desperation, and the unraveling of lives. Marlene Hayes, a beloved figure in her community, had become the center of a story that exposed the darker side of those closest to her. As investigators continued to dig deeper, they faced a tangled web of secrets and lies, each thread pulling them closer to the truth behind her untimely death. Brenda Foster, a 38-year-old dispatcher at the sheriff's office, found herself thrust into the center of the investigation when detectives uncovered a history of obsession and unrequited love that tied her to both Sheriff Willie Carlin and the murder of Marlene Hayes. For years, Brenda had harbored secret feelings for Willie, feelings that deepened as they worked closely together during late-night shifts. Colleagues described Brenda as fiercely loyal to the sheriff, often going above and beyond her duties to support him. But as detectives dug into her past, they uncovered a more complex and troubling picture. Emails retrieved from Willie's account revealed the extent of Brenda's emotional turmoil. What began as friendly exchanges gradually shifted in tone, showing a woman deeply infatuated and frustrated by her unreciprocated affection. One email from March 2022 captured her anguish. "I've always been there for you, Willie. I don't understand how you could do this to me." To us, another email sent just weeks before Marlene's death was even more ominous. "You'll regret hurting me, just like you'll regret choosing her." These messages, combined with witness accounts, painted a picture of someone whose emotional state had become increasingly unstable. Brenda's jealousy reached a fever pitch when she discovered Willie's affair with Marlene. Investigators speculated that Brenda found out through confidential department records or by overhearing conversations. Friends and co-workers noted her shift in behavior around that time. Once outgoing and dedicated, Brenda became withdrawn, snapping at colleagues and isolating herself. Witnesses reported that she frequently expressed bitterness about Marlene, with one co-worker recalling a chilling comment after Marlene's pregnancy became public knowledge: "That woman doesn't know what's coming to her." As detectives combed through her social media accounts and private correspondence, they uncovered disturbing signs of Brenda's spiraling mental state. Posts in private groups contained veiled threats, including one that read, "Some people don't deserve their happy endings. Some people don't deserve to bring children into this world." A search of Brenda's phone revealed a voice memo in which she ranted about Willie's behavior, saying, "He always ruins lives, but never pays the price." Investigators theorized that Brenda's bitterness toward Marlene stemmed not only from jealousy, but also from a deep sense of betrayal by Willie, whom she believed had strung her along for years. The investigation reached a critical turning point when security footage placed Brenda's car near the Hayes home on the night of Marlene's murder. Detectives obtained a warrant to search her vehicle and discovered strands of hair and fibers that matched evidence found at the crime scene. The physical evidence, combined with her erratic behavior and threatening correspondence, led police to believe Brenda may have played a significant role in the tragedy. Further analysis suggested Brenda viewed Marlene not only as a romantic rival, but also as a symbol of everything she had lost: a family, a future with Willie, and the life she believed she deserved. Brenda's fixation on Willie had a long history, investigators learned. 5 years earlier, the two had engaged in an affair during late-night shifts at the sheriff's office. At the time, Brenda was married to Tom Foster, a truck driver, and they had 2 young children. When Tom discovered the affair, it led to a contentious divorce, during which Brenda's erratic behavior came to light. Emails and text messages from that period revealed angry outbursts and threats toward her ex-husband, behavior that ultimately cost her custody of her children. Friends described the divorce as a turning point for Brenda. Losing her family seemed to deepen her emotional dependence on Willie, even as he moved on to other relationships. The unraveling of Brenda's life coincided with her increasing obsession with Willie. While she maintained a facade of professionalism at work, her private writings revealed a growing resentment toward the man she had once adored. Detectives discovered diary entries in which she expressed feelings of betrayal and anger, often blaming others for her unhappiness. The discovery of Willie's affair with Marlene only amplified these emotions, pushing Brenda closer to a breaking point. Forensic experts continued to analyze the evidence linking Brenda to the crime, while investigators pieced together a timeline of her actions leading up to the murder. The mounting evidence suggested that Brenda's toxic mix of jealousy, rage, and heartbreak drove her to target Marlene. Detectives theorized that she saw Marlene not only as the latest woman to capture Willie's attention, but also as someone about to give birth to the child Brenda could never have with him. This devastating combination of emotions appeared to have motivated her to take drastic and ultimately tragic actions. The turning point came on a quiet evening in May 2022. Witnesses and security footage from the sheriff's office revealed a heated confrontation between Willie and Marlene. Marlene, visibly distressed, confronted Willie about their affair and warned him she was prepared to expose the truth if he refused to take responsibility. Investigators later surmised that her ultimatum sent Willie into a state of panic. Facing the potential collapse of his career, reputation, and freedom, Willie's fear and anger culminated in a devastating decision. In a moment of blind rage, he drew his service weapon and fatally shot Marlene at close range. Realizing the gravity of his actions, Willie quickly devised a plan to shift the blame. Under the cover of night, he planted incriminating evidence on Marlene's husband, Travis' blood-stained gloves, and a wrench he intended to pass off as the murder weapon. At first, the scheme seemed foolproof. As sheriff, Willie held significant control over the investigation, ensuring the false evidence would surface. However, inconsistencies soon unraveled his plan. Forensic analysis revealed Marlene's fatal injuries were caused by a gun, not a wrench. Surveillance footage captured Willie acting suspiciously near the planted items on the night of the murder, and colleagues began noticing his erratic behavior, particularly his relentless attempts to implicate Travis. The final blow came when ballistics testing confirmed the bullet matched Willie's service weapon. With the evidence stacking against him, police arrested Willie at his home. Neighbors recounted seeing the once respected sheriff led away in handcuffs. For Sheriff Willie Carlin, his arrest marked the shattering end of a carefully crafted double life. Once a beloved figurehead in the La Mesa community, he now faced grave charges, first-degree murder, and evidence tampering. The weight of his downfall, combined with the public humiliation, left him shattered, a mere shell of the man he once was. By March 2023, the trial of Sheriff Willie Carlin dominated every conversation in La Mesa, Texas. The sheriff, once hailed as a respected leader and the protector of his town, now stood accused of the brutal murder of Marlene Hayes, a pregnant woman whose unborn child may have been his own. The courthouse was packed with reporters, locals, and others eager to witness the downfall of a man who had once been the very face of law and order in their town. Carlin's defense team, headed by the renowned attorney Charles "Chuck" Beasley, tried desperately to cling to his former reputation. They painted him as a devoted public servant and family man, wrongfully accused of a crime he would never commit. Beasley argued that the charges didn't align with Willie's known character, emphasizing his long-standing respect in the community and claiming that a man like Willie would never have committed such a heinous act. Beasley also attempted to cast doubt on the forensic evidence, insisting it was circumstantial and misinterpreted. In stark contrast, the prosecution, led by District Attorney Carmen Ortiz, presented a damning case. Ortiz laid out a narrative of years of manipulation, deception, and abuse of power. She painted Willie as a man who had used his position to conceal his wrongdoings, and the evidence she presented tied him directly to the murder, the ballistic match to his service weapon, surveillance footage showing him acting suspiciously near the crime scene, and evidence he had planted in the tools of Marlene's husband, Travis. In her closing statement, Ortiz boldly declared, "This is not the case of a beloved public servant wrongfully accused. This is the case of a man who believed he was untouchable, using his power to ruin lives and cover up his own crimes." Willie took the stand in his defense, steadfast in his insistence of innocence. He claimed he had no involvement in Marlene's death, blaming an unnamed group of enemies for framing him. As the trial went on, his facade of confidence began to crack under the weight of cross-examination. Ortiz pointed out the inconsistencies in his story, slowly unraveling his defense. After 3 days of deliberation, the jury returned with a guilty verdict on all counts. On March 29, 2023, Willie was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As the judge read the verdict, Willie remained motionless, staring ahead as the gravity of his fate settled in. Outside the courthouse, the community was divided. Some mourned the loss of the sheriff they had once admired, while others felt that justice had been served for Marlene and her unborn child. The trial had ended, but the effects of the case would linger. It marked a painful and dark chapter in Mesa's history, leaving a scar that would take years to heal. With his life sentence at the maximum security Allen B. Polanski unit in Texas, Sheriff Willie Carlin's fall from grace sent shockwaves through the town, forever altering its collective psyche. Meanwhile, Travis, having been cleared of any involvement in Marlene's death, struggled with the emotional aftermath of losing both his wife and unborn child. Friends described him as a broken man, a shadow of the person he once was. Ultimately, he left La Mesa, seeking a fresh start, though court records indicated he attempted to reconnect with his son through visitation efforts that were met with resistance from Brenda Foster. The story of Marlene Hayes, her tragic death, and the scandal surrounding Sheriff Carlin will forever remain in the collective memory of La Mesa. It became a cautionary tale about the darkness that can hide behind the masks people wear. Although life in La Mesa eventually moved forward, the shadows of those events would continue to loom large, a stark reminder of the danger in trusting too blindly in someone's public persona.